Alrighty, how's everybody doing today? So, I haven't done a Guild War in quite a few days, and the main reasoning for that, honestly, it's my own fault. We were still fighting like some fairly weak guilds, and I was doing some next level retarded decisions for some of the fights just for the sake of getting content. For example, like fighting 2 blues and a Falconer Clury with just Violet to test if he could survive having Death Break. He didn't. But anyway, getting to the actual meat and potatoes of the video. So, the interesting thing about these Guild Wars in particular that I do today are I only use 6 characters throughout the entire thing. And the overall general idea is, okay, hey, so we had Savior Adin and we have Mercedes over here on this side, and then there's also Peira dealing all of the oh-so-wonderful cancerous stuff that she likes to do. So, she goes in and just does debuffs. Ed doesn't care. And then he'll just go ahead and attack everybody with it. So you're taking the risk of if he's going to hit Savior Adin or if he's not. The good news is it's not like an actual action, so it shouldn't trigger her counterattack. At least I don't think it does. I think that has to occur on like your action. I mean, I could be wrong on that. But either way, because of how all of this stuff is like just working around, and because Unbound Knight Arowell is there, as well as Doris, who honestly doesn't even need to be here, by the way, I just am absurdly tanky. I am so tanky to a point where I have absolutely nothing to fear on this side. Because you just have to remember, when it comes to Savior Adin is really only a threat when she is actually hitting a dark unit. So if you have a whole bunch of like other bruisery kind of units that also aren't dark, Savior Adin is really something you shouldn't even care about. Because you're going to be tanking absurdly well. And to those of you who were paying attention during this fight, yeah, I did skip ahead a little bit, just because like this was dragging for like a minute and a half of just Edward constantly missing on Peira. That's all this was. So yeah, it was a whole bunch of bruisery stuff, and yeah, it was pretty easy. So here's the main presentation of the entire video. So, I am not kidding whenever I'm saying in the title of the video of you can practically auto this meta. So what are we fighting here? We're fighting Lua and Senya and Choux. And I'm using my tried and true of Roana and Shadow Knight Pyllis, but then I also had hinted a couple of videos ago that I was going to try and build Christy just to see how that would fare out. And the biggest reason as to why I built Christy to go with Shadow Knight Pyllis is mainly just because Rocket Punch is quite possibly one of the best artifacts that we have ever gotten. Okay, that's not true. So, like, probably the best artifact we've ever gotten was Guiding Light, but, like, you know what, let's not talk about Guiding Light. Guiding Light's stupid. Guiding Light shouldn't even fucking exist. In fact, I'm just gonna go straight up and say, delete Guiding Light from the game. But anyway. So, the bigger reason why, like, this team works phenomenally well, and it just feels good to do, is because Rocket Punch is, like, the newest collab artifact that we got. Now, what's so cool about Rocket Punch? Well, basically, you have high def, you just pretty much do true damage to the opponent. Well, it's probably not true damage. I think it's just like a portion of your defense on your character, then like applies like extra damage to the opponent. I think the only actual true damage in the game is the dumb shit that like Rimuru does. But, so either way, yeah, you're basically just doing extra damage, like you just saw right there with Choux. So, it's a really nifty artifact, and quite honestly, I really think it's a huge mistake that Rocket Punch is actually a limited artifact. I really feel like SG probably needs to step up some of their game on how all limiteds and stuff work in this game. Because, I don't know, for example, how many of you actually, like, use Cerise? No, seriously, how many of you actually use her? I highly doubt, like, a lot of people really actively use Cerise for a lot of their stuff. You probably only really use her in PvE content. The big thing that you get is you want Guiding Light, because Guiding Light's fucking broken. How many of y'all use Luna? I highly doubt, like, any of you actually really do. You probably do it on PvE content. But hey, Draco Plate. Draco Plate mad broken. And I mean, yeah, some people are probably going to start using F10A, Fairy Tale Tenebria, pretty soon, because she's getting a buff, along with that really monstrously stupid buff that A Tywin's going to be getting. But I mean, I'm still not all that interested in her. I'm really not. But, like, hey, what's the big reward with F10? It's not really F10. It's Fairy Tale for a Nightmare. Put that shit on Archdemon Mercedes. Do mad crazy damage. So, okay, I guess I should probably stop rambling about dumb shit and actually talk about the fight. So, what we just did right there was the only actual threat, I would say. It's not even really a threat, but is Senya. And the only reason why Senya is even kind of a threat is because if you were to strip her counterattack with Pyllis, you run the risk of, like, not gaining as much heal back as you can. But, I mean, that's just, like, really if you go into, like, big thinking about it. But it's really not that big of an issue. So, what is this actual team? Shadow Knight Pyllis is doing all the damage with Rocket Punch, and she's also doing some light cleansing. Roana is doing all of the healing, and Christy is, to those of you who do not know who Christy is or what Christy does, Christy is a 3-star tank that gives half of her ER to whoever's in the back row. I don't think she loses that ER. I mean, that would be absolutely crazy if that was a thing. But I think, yeah, I think mine's at 200-something ER, so then I just give free 100 ER to Pyllis. And because of that, I really don't have to worry about any debuffs ever, especially going onto Pyllis from the Lua, because Lua will never target Christy, and Lua will never target Roana. She will always target Pyllis in the back. And also because of that, I will almost always have death buff at almost all times because Pyllis is taking all of the damage. Christy is also rocking Aureus, so she's taking even more of that damage away from Pyllis, along with the fact that Aureus just flat out gives, I think, 10% defense to the whole team. It's just, this is actually an insane, crazy comp that you can just do against Lua Senya Shu teams. And it's pretty much free. The hardest part is just getting high enough ER on your Christy and enough tank stats that you're happy with. Because straight up, I'm not running any speed. There's no reason to run speed. Christy's just there to pretty much stand there. And with Aureus, she just is tanking even more of the damage. Roana doesn't need anything, really. She's rocking a free set, which is just the HP, like, free set that you get for playing the game. So yeah, it all just works really well. So what we're doing here as well, it's the exact same team as last time, because these people were using the same meta defense. And this is where I really kind of put... I kind of take my bets with the whole, like, oh, can I just, like, auto this fight? So I take my first turn, and I hit into Senya with the S3. From this point, I hit auto, and then I just tap the Senya for the sake of, okay, I want all the attacks to go into Senya, and I'm going to really just not make any actions. And from this point on, I've essentially won. And also, these are not weak people. That Shu is actually doing decent damage. Especially because there's one more match after this one where I fight another Shu, and the Shu is even stronger than this one. But yeah, this team really isn't that worried about it. Because, like, I think right here, Christy takes, like, a lot of damage because the AI for her, for whatever reason, she decided to attack instead of use her S3. I guess she's, like, on some kind of HP threshold for using S3 or not. So, honestly, if she straight up just didn't attack, we would have been even better off because she'd have more health. But hey, whatever. This is all for the sake of, like, AI testing. But, like, here comes Roana, just doing her typical thing, and then here comes more counterattacks. Hey, good old healing. That's just how it all works. And once again, I have so much resistance on Pyllis right now, because keep in mind, Pyllis has 150 base ER on her kit. And then with Christy, she's just straight up adding 100 extra ER. Now, to those of you paying attention, oh, why did I stop the auto attack, like the autoing right there? The only reason why I stopped it at that point was I was afraid I was going to strip the counterattack. But honestly, I didn't even need to stop it. And that's just because of how the buffs shuffle around and whose turn it was. But then I started it back up, and I would have been fine. But and then that's just because I don't want to take a bunch of risks whenever I'm probably going to be using the same team again for the next team. Because I don't have a whole lot of answers for Lua Senya Shu. But I don't know, this answer that I found today sure feels like one hell of a good answer. And yeah, it's a little slow. But honestly, you could always do worse whenever it comes to being slow. You could straight up run out of turns on your draw counter at the very top right, and that never happens. We actually move at a pretty decent speed throughout the whole fight. And the only thing that I really kind of wish I could do is, instead of using Pyllis, I kind of wish I could use Hazel. And if Hazel gets a spec change where she just like becomes as tanky as Shadow Knight does when she's taking counterattacks and all this other stuff, because the reason why you can't use Hazel is because with Choux, when she reacts with an S1 into an S2, you take absurd damage, because it's an S1 counterattack that's reduced damage on Hazel, but then you take the full damage on the S2 if it procs. Meanwhile, with Shadow Knight, you still have that 30% reduction on the initial counter hit and also on the additional hit, which is why Shadow Knight is so much more attractive from a tank perspective than Hazel is. Now, if this was Arena, you could do some straight up hilarious shit and just throw Hazel onto the team in general with all this other tank shit. I've actually done that a few times in Arena, like anytime I'm fighting like Bellion and just a bunch of dumb counter shit. It's actually really, really fun, because they just die into you. Something that I kind of wish we could still kind of do, because if you guys remember Dominil way back in the day, she used to have like a bunch of really hilarious reflect like shenanigans, and then SG and their Infinite Wisdom basically kind of like took that away from us, because it's on like a proc system now. Because it's not a skill, it's an S2, like, passive that procs 35% of the time. It's the dumbest shit I've ever fucking seen. But, so yeah, then we're going into basically the same team that we fought the first time. And basically the exact same stuff happens here, except it happens even faster. We don't miss against the Peira. And right there, that hit Arowell instead of Edward this time. And yeah, just straight up. I have so much tank ability on like all of these units, and you could use any healer that you wish. Like if you really, really want to use this particular comp, but you have like a really well-built Destina is far better than Doris. I just picked Doris because I like to actually respect some of the story aspect of Epic 7, even though SG doesn't respect us. And I like to pick Arowell and Doris together anytime I really can, just because like they have history together. I like that. And they really honestly don't synergize extremely well together. But hey, whatever. That's just how it is. And yeah, Edward is just straight up doing work. Like, doing lots of damage. The Mercedes is absolutely no threat. I don't care. Proc your magic for friends. I don't need Roana to fight you. But yeah, as you can see, like this fight's really not an issue at all. And Ed's going in. Arowell's doing all the tanking, and Doris is just occasionally doing the heal every now and then. Because I really wish I could find a better artifact for her. Like, honestly, the best artifact I probably could give Doris is maybe like Touch of Rekos or something. But after I have experienced Prophetic Candlestick on Doris, I just don't think I can ever take it away. I really don't. I don't think I can get rid of it. Because if you manage to proc Prophetic Candlestick a lot of times on Doris, you can just pretty much spam her S2, which is easily the best skill she has, because it's a massive heal to the whole team, gives heal buff, and gives def buff. That's insane. So yeah, we fight this, we use the same team again, and the only real difference now is we're fighting Lua. So it's Savior Adin, Lua, and Mercedes this time. So, okay, what's the issue now? Well, not really any issue. So Lua is going into Edward, doing all kinds of dumb shit that Lua does, but like also a lot of 15% happens in this fight. It's actually really, really frustrating that 15% happens in my favor, and it actually pisses me off because it doesn't hit Edward. Guys, just get rid of it. Nobody likes 15%. It's fucking stupid. No one likes it. It's bad. just get rid of it. Alter your effectiveness and your effect resist rates, because that shit's busted as hell anyway. So I have two options here. I can either kill the Mercedes or I can try to hit the Adin. And a lot of times people like to really avoid Adin or just like straight up ignore her as much as possible. Honestly, I'm not afraid of Adin. I'm really not. What's the worst she's going to do? S3 me? And then just make it so I have to hit her? Okay, cool. I have all the sustain on my team available. I just don't give a shit. So now that I've killed the Adin, and she didn't even get an opportunity to really even hit anybody, so now we just have to take care of Mercedes, which, bam, that's life number 1 down. Now we just have to kill her one more time, and this fight's over. Like, it's not really an issue. So, sure, this team, I'm honestly kind of predicting. I feel like whenever the buffs hit and Tywin comes into the mix again, the new meta defense might actually become Lua, Mercedes, a Tywin. And, I mean, I'll be frank with you guys, I'm really not a very smart person. I'm not very good at coming up with, like, strategies on the fly, which is I don't really think I'm, like, one of the a really great commentator kind of person. But I feel like that's going to become the new defense. And honestly, I feel like you could probably do the same kind of strategy fighting it, just don't go in with any debuffs, really, to fight the Tywin. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. So, what is this fight? Well, basically, it's Senya, Choux, and Laika. Now, I almost never see Laika that often, but you can honestly compare her very, very, very closely to Conqueror Lilius. In fact, just if that was Conqueror Lilius on this team, it would be essentially the same thing. Because she triggers dual attack, she does like an AoE attack, but Conqueror Lilius is, of course, a non-attack skill. This is an attack skill. They're very, very similar. And Laika also buffs, like, attack as well. So, ultimately, this is going to do a little bit more damage to me. So I guess you could say this is a worse fight instead of Conqueror Lilius. But either way, you're going to see basically the exact same kind of stuff happen here. So... and right there, that Choux does not have attack buff yet. When she has attack buff and does that same attack, that's going to do about 4, almost 5k to Pyllis with def buff. So that's actually pretty huge. And case in point, whenever you watch this whole fight, I'm really not in any danger throughout the entire thing. Now, I could have hit auto on like any point on this, like I did with the second fight, but of course I'm sizing out the fight because I almost never fight Laika, so I wanted to make sure I was at least doing the right thing. So that's the main reason why you're not seeing me use auto yet. But I'm using the same kind of strategy as before of, hey, I'm gonna go in and kill Senya first, and as soon as Senya's gone, then I can really just kind of auto into Choux and just not worry about anything. Okay, so that right there, I wasn't paying attention, but I think I had def buff, and I think that Choux did like 5k. I think. I could be wrong there, but like, yeah, this Choux is strong. This Choux is really, really strong. Which is another thing that just makes this entire team really, really great that I'm using, because it's using 2 free units to and Christy may very well get a spec change. You never know. She just has so much insane, awesome utility. It'd be cool if she got a spec change. But, yeah, and then there's Roana. So yeah, we used 2 5-star units throughout the entirety of all these Guild Wars. There was Roana, who, honestly, if you don't have Roana, but you have the opportunity to ever try and get her, I cannot recommend her enough. My Roana that I use is not even using really, really good gear. It is free gear, free level 75 gear at that. It's the renewal set that you get for just playing the game, pretty much. And I have not taken it off of her. I see no reason to take it off of her. If I had the time to actually farm her a really good resistance set that had a really, really high HP stat on it, I absolutely would. But hey, that's this game, man. A lot of it's just really, really bad luck. So we're down to just Choux and Laika. And I think at this point, you're going to start seeing the Choux doing a lot of damage. But once again, just from the sheer amount of, like, tankability that I have, and the fact that I have nothing to worry about debuff-wise, I have nothing to worry about. Like, yeah, even right here. That's with attack buff. That did 6k on counter additional attack. That's with the ability of Shadow Knight Pyllis nerfing the attack, and with Christy also having Aureus. That is an obscenely strong Choux. And I just kind of shrugged it off like it was nothing. So, I highly recommend this team. And the only thing that really kind of sucks about it is the fact that Shadow Knight Pyllis does have Rocket Punch. I honestly believe Rocket Punch should not be a limited artifact. I firmly believe that some of the limited nature of units and their artifacts, I think some of this shit just needs to go away. It feels like it's not helping. It really does. It just feels like it's not helping in any way, shape, or form. I don't think it really helps, like, the state of the game. And it's also one of the biggest factors of why I firmly believe, or, like, this is just a personal thing for me, I can't recommend this game to new players. I really can't. And it's... Sure, this goes into a big debate about, like, how... like, starting out, so, like, new game, mid-game, and how end-game works. And I remember playing this game 3 years ago, whenever I was, new to the game and everything, and I had no idea what anything was. Hey, what's this unit? Is this unit good? Hey, I pulled Ken. Is Ken good? And it's like, I just had no idea what the fuck I was doing. So, like, I can't even imagine somebody who has no idea about anything about this game just starting up from nothing, and then you have all this limited and collab shit, which is just hyper meta, or having artifacts that just complete kits that you just don't have access to. And I can't recommend this game in any way, shape, or form to a new player. I would really, really like to be wrong about that, or to just straight up be like, oh yeah, you're just not remembering, like, new game, end game, and mid game and all that stuff because you've been stuck at end game for years. But I don't know, man. That's just honestly how I personally feel. I cannot recommend this game to new players. Hopefully they'll start releasing some QOL, they'll start doing some changes in the future that'll address stuff like this. But hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this Guild War. If you liked it, please leave a like. If you want to see more of my content, please hit subscribe. I'd really greatly appreciate it. If you have anything that you want to tell me, please let me know in the comments. I do read them. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks. Have a good one. Later.